There are moments in life when you feel something subtle stirring inside you. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's more like a whisper, a quiet shift, a gentle signal, almost as if the universe itself is nudging you forward. The Stoics believed that life often speaks in whispers, not shouts. When you are attentive, you notice these quiet movements, and they reveal that a new chapter is closer than you think. This is the nature of progress. You don't always see it when it's happening. The seed does not announce its growth underground. The river does not declare its journey to the sea. And yet, beneath the surface, everything is moving toward its destined place. Many of us spend our days impatient, asking, when will things finally change? When will my life fall into place? When will I find the partnership, the purpose, or the opportunity I've been waiting for? But the truth is, life unfolds according to its own timing, not ours. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that they happen the way they do happen, and your life will go smoothly." This doesn't mean we give up on our desires. It means we learn to trust the natural order of things. Life has a rhythm, just like the seasons. Winter is followed by spring, and spring by summer. If you demand summer in the middle of winter, you'll only frustrate yourself. But if you prepare yourself, if you stay disciplined, then when spring comes, you will be ready to bloom with it. Think about the moments when you felt restless, as if something better was waiting just beyond the horizon. That restlessness is not meaningless. It is a sign of preparation. The Stoics would say, the logos, the rational order of the universe, is aligning events, people, and opportunities. But those alignments are invisible until the right time arrives. What feels like delay is often development. What feels like silence is often preparation. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, reminded himself daily, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." When we understand this, we stop trying to force doors open before they are ready. Instead, we strengthen ourselves, we discipline our character, and we prepare to walk through the door the moment it unlocks. You see, the partnership you long for, the purpose you seek, the wealth you desire, none of these are ever truly forgotten by life. They are not lost. They are simply maturing in silence. Just as a fruit is not eaten before it ripens, your destiny cannot be rushed. And when the right moment comes, it will arrive with a sense of inevitability, as though it could not have been any other way. But here's the challenge. Can you wait without resentment? Can you trust the timing of things? Can you believe that what is meant for you is already making its way toward you, even if you cannot yet see it? This is the essence of Stoic patience. It is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It is the discipline of preparing your mind, your habits, your spirit, so that when the moment comes, you are not found unready. Ask yourself this: if what you've been waiting for arrived tomorrow, would you truly be ready for it? Would you have the strength, the wisdom, the discipline to hold it? Or would you lose it as quickly as you found it because you were unprepared? The Stoics remind us that fate brings opportunities, but only discipline allows us to keep them. So when you feel the whisper, that quiet shift inside you, don't ignore it. It is life's way of telling you, stay steady, keep walking. You are closer than you think. The union you seek, whether it is with another person, with your purpose, or with your own higher self, is not a distant dream. It is already forming, already approaching. You simply must remain faithful to the process. The beauty of this perspective is that it transforms impatience into preparation. Instead of asking, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" you begin to ask, "How can I prepare myself so that when it does happen, I am worthy of it?" That shift alone changes everything. It puts you back in control of your character, your discipline, your choices. And when life finally opens the door, you'll walk through it not as someone desperate and unprepared, but as someone strong, steady and ready. So remember, life never forgets its promises. It fulfills them in its own timing, not ours. Your role is not to demand the schedule, it is to prepare for the moment. Because one day, the whisper will become a reality. And when that day comes, you'll look back and realize that every season of waiting was shaping you for this exact moment. Have you ever felt a strange kind of restlessness stirring inside you? Not the anxious, chaotic kind that makes you panic, but something deeper and quieter. It's as if a part of you knows that life is about to change, even if you can't explain why. That feeling isn't meaningless. In Stoic philosophy, it's often seen as a sign of preparation, a signal that your inner world is adjusting itself for a new chapter to unfold. This restlessness is not a void to be filled. It's an invitation to grow. It's life's way of saying, you're outgrowing your current state. Maybe the things that once entertained you now feel shallow. Maybe conversations that once thrilled you now seem empty. You might notice that you crave deeper meaning, higher standards, and richer experiences. That's not boredom, that's evolution. Think about how a seed behaves underground. It's invisible, buried beneath layers of soil. Yet beneath that darkness, a powerful transformation is taking place. It's stretching, breaking, preparing for the moment it will break through the surface. That's exactly what this inner stirring is. The discomfort you feel isn't a flaw. It's proof that your roots are digging deeper so that your life can rise higher. And here's something important. This phase often brings with it a hunger for clarity and purpose. You might find yourself drawn toward more discipline, reading, learning, reflecting more deeply. Perhaps you feel the urge to simplify your environment, to cut out distractions that once consumed your time. You may start saying no more often, not because you're becoming cold, but because your soul is refining what truly matters. From a Stoic perspective, this is the natural process of aligning your actions with your higher nature. The philosopher Seneca wrote that, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Restlessness is one of those subtle adversities. It's life's way of prompting you to prove your readiness. It's asking, are you prepared to let go of what no longer serves you? Are you willing to grow beyond the version of yourself that feels comfortable but stagnant? This stage can be confusing because it often disguises itself as discouragement. You might wonder, why do I feel so unsettled? Why do I suddenly care less about things that used to matter? But in truth, it's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of refinement. Just as a blacksmith uses fire to shape metal, life uses restlessness to shape character. The unease you feel is the forge where patience, discipline, and discernment are formed, and this discernment is powerful. When you embrace this restlessness instead of fighting it, your perception sharpens. You begin to notice what aligns with your values and what doesn't. You recognize opportunities that serve your deeper purpose, and you reject distractions that pull you away from it. What once felt like noise starts to fade, and in its place comes a quiet clarity. This is also the phase where obedience, or in Stoic terms, virtue, is tested. Will you keep clinging to temporary pleasures, or will you have the courage to release them? Will you continue chasing surface-level validation, or will you embrace the deeper work happening within you? These are not easy choices, but they are necessary ones. Because the truth is, the next chapter of your life will demand a higher version of you, one that cannot be built without letting go of what's holding you back. And here's the most beautiful part. This hidden work, though invisible to the world, transforms everything. Just as the seed's unseen growth leads to a flourishing tree, your private discipline creates visible strength. People around you may not notice the changes right away. They may even misunderstand your withdrawal as disinterest. But when the right moment comes, your preparation will speak for itself. In the way you carry yourself, in the peace you radiate, in the purpose behind your choices. Restlessness is not a sign that something is missing. It's a sign that something greater is approaching. It's not emptiness, it's readiness. And the more you listen to it, the more it will guide you toward what truly matters. It teaches patience. It sharpens focus. It deepens love, not the fleeting, emotional kind, but the steady, unwavering love for life, for purpose, and for the person you're becoming. So, the next time you feel that stirring inside, that quiet discontent with the way things are, don't rush to silence it. Don't distract yourself from it. Sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this trying to prepare me for? Because in that question lies the key to your next chapter. The restlessness you feel today is the whisper of destiny telling you that you're getting closer. It's the universe's way of saying, keep going. You're almost ready. Have you ever noticed how, at certain points in life, people quietly drift away from you? Friendships you once thought were unshakable begin to fade. Conversations that used to feel natural now feel forced. At first it might feel painful, almost like something is being stolen from you. But what if this isn't a loss at all? What if it's a kind of pruning, a deliberate cutting away to make space for something greater. The Stoics often reminded us that nature itself teaches through seasons. A tree must lose its leaves in autumn so that it can survive the winter and bloom again in spring. In the same way, separation in our lives is not always a punishment. It is often preparation. Life removes the unnecessary so that we can carry only what is essential. Seneca wrote that we must remove the superfluous, and what remains will be enough. This is the hidden wisdom behind separation. Think about it. Many of us try to carry old attachments, old habits, and even old versions of ourselves into new seasons of life. But you can't step into a higher standard while still being chained to what no longer serves you. The Stoics believed that clinging to what is transient, whether it's relationships, wealth, or status, only breeds suffering. Instead, they taught us to let go with dignity, trusting that whatever departs was never truly ours to keep. Yes, the process feels painful. When friends no longer understand you, when familiar routines stop satisfying you, it can feel like the ground beneath your feet is shifting. But here is where the Stoic discipline comes alive. Instead of resisting, we lean into the change. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "Whatever happens to you was prepared for you from all eternity." In other words, the pruning is not random, it is purposeful. Let me ask you a question. How many times in your life have you looked back and realized that losing someone or something actually saved you? Maybe a relationship ended, and at the time it shattered you. But months later, you saw the truth, that staying would have broken you even more. Or maybe an opportunity slipped away, only for you to later discover that it cleared the way for something far better. Separation often feels cruel in the moment, but it is actually a form of protection. The Stoics would call this alignment with reason, the universe redirecting us away from what is harmful toward what is truly good. Just as a gardener prunes branches not to harm the tree, but to allow it to flourish, life removes the distractions and attachments that would weigh us down. You cannot walk into a new season carrying baggage from the old one. If you want clarity, you must first endure the cutting away, and here's something most people don't realize. The loneliest seasons are often the holiest. When distractions are stripped away, when voices go silent, when you are left with nothing but yourself, that is when you are most ready to hear the deeper truths of life. Epictetus taught that true freedom begins the moment we stop depending on external things for our happiness. Separation forces us into that freedom. It teaches us to rely not on fleeting emotions but on discernment, discipline, and the inner strength that no one can take away from us. It's not easy. Loneliness can feel heavy, almost unbearable at times. But what if that loneliness is not an absence, but an invitation? An invitation to build resilience, to sharpen your vision, to prepare yourself for the relationships and opportunities that will align with your higher purpose. The pruning is never the end. It is the middle, the necessary in-between that clears the path for renewal. So, if you find yourself in a season where people are leaving, where conversations are drying up, or where old comforts no longer satisfy you, don't panic. Don't cling. Instead, ask yourself, what space is being cleared in my life? What new growth am I being prepared for? This shift may not feel gentle, but it is shaping you for something greater. The Stoics would say that life is a teacher, and every loss is a lesson. But I'd go one step further. Every separation is also a safeguard. It protects you from walking into the wrong alliances, from wasting years in the wrong company, from carrying burdens that were never meant to be yours. Yes, it hurts, but pain is often the sculptor of wisdom, so embrace the pruning. Let go of what is leaving with grace. Trust that what remains is what is meant for you. And most importantly, remember this. Separation is not the universe taking something from you. It is the universe making room for who you are becoming. After the season of restlessness, after the pruning and separation, something remarkable begins to unfold. A calm you cannot explain. A stillness that feels almost supernatural. It is as if the storm inside you has finally surrendered, and for the first time in a long time you can breathe again. This peace is not ordinary. It is confirmation. The Stoics often spoke about this state. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." True peace does not depend on circumstances or outcomes. It emerges from alignment with nature, from accepting what is beyond our control, and focusing on what lies within it. When life has tested you through restlessness and loss, the arrival of peace is proof that you have passed through the fire without being consumed. Notice how your prayers, or in Stoic terms, your intentions, begin to shift. At first, you are restless, asking, "When will this happen? Why is it taking so long?" But over time, your question changes. Instead of demanding outcomes, you begin asking, "Am I prepared? Am I ready for what life will bring?" That shift is maturity. It is a quiet confidence that timing does not belong to you, but readiness does. Think about how often we ruin our own progress by rushing. We want the relationship before we are ready to handle its responsibilities. We want success without building the discipline to sustain it. But peace changes everything. Peace slows you down. Peace whispers, what is meant for you cannot miss you. What is not meant for you cannot stay. This is where faith and stoicism meet. Both remind us that endurance through trials is never wasted. The fire of difficulty does not destroy, it refines. You emerge with a calmer mind, a clearer heart, and a deeper trust that things are unfolding as they should. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Peace is the evidence that those trials have polished you rather than broken you. And this peace is not just for comfort, it serves as protection. When you are unsettled, you are more vulnerable to illusions, to counterfeit opportunities, to relationships that only mimic what you truly desire. But when peace governs your heart, you are no longer desperate. You are discerning. Confusion fades, clarity rises, and when the right person or opportunity comes, it will not stir chaos. It will feel aligned, natural, steady. Let me ask you, have you ever forced a relationship or a decision out of anxiety, only to regret it later? Most of us have. Anxiety pushes us into choices we were never meant to make. Peace, however, keeps us grounded. It acts like a filter, showing us what belongs and what doesn't. This is why peace becomes a kind of magnet. It doesn't chase, it attracts. When you live in peace, you naturally draw people who are also whole, grounded, and ready. Two restless, broken souls cannot build harmony together. But two whole people, each at peace within themselves, can create a union that is strong, steady, and enduring. Peace also signals growth in character. It shows that you have surrendered the need to control everything, that you trust the flow of life instead of fighting against it, that your strength is no longer found in striving but in being anchored. And ironically, this very surrender is what prepares you best for whatever is coming. Many people think confirmation comes as a sign in the sky, a sudden revelation, or a dramatic change in circumstances. But often, the truest confirmation is this: an unshakable peace in your soul. Not excitement that fades, not confusion disguised as passion, but peace, steady, clear, calm. So if you are in a season of peace after the storms of restlessness and pruning, recognize it for what it is. This is not a pause. It is proof. Proof that you have matured. Proof that you have trusted the process. Proof that you are being prepared not just for union with another person, but for union with your own higher self. The Stoics believed that virtue and wisdom are their own reward. And peace is often the fruit of that virtue, the evidence that you are aligned with reason, with discipline, with the natural order of things. Do not overlook it. Celebrate it. Protect it, because this peace is not just a feeling. It is your hidden confirmation that you are ready for the next chapter. There comes a point on the journey when the noise of doubt begins to fade and subtle signals start to appear. You notice patterns, small repetitions, moments that seem too aligned to be random. A phrase spoken by a stranger echoes something you were just reflecting on. A passage in a book or a song lyric seems to answer the exact question you carried in silence. The Stoics would say, what happens to each of us is woven into the fabric of the universe. These are confirmations, not coincidences. As the promise of change draws nearer, life often multiplies these confirmations. They don't arrive with fanfare, but in whispers, in quiet alignments that strengthen your resolve. Think of them as markers along a path. If you are climbing a mountain, trail signs reassure you that you are not lost, even when the peak is hidden. In the same way, these confirmations tell you, keep walking, you are on the right track. The question, of course, is how to recognize them. Stoic wisdom teaches us to stay attentive to the present moment, to observe without rushing to judgment, If you are living with awareness, you will see when life repeats a message. It may come through conversations, through something you read, or even through your own reflections that circle back to the same point. This repetition is not trivial. It is the universe, or, as some would say, divine reason, directing your attention. Why is this so important? Because in seasons of waiting, the greatest challenge is not external delay, but internal doubt. We question if our effort is wasted. We wonder if the silence means we've been forgotten. But confirmations act like anchors. They don't shorten the wait, but they strengthen your spirit within it. They remind you that waiting is not passive, it is preparation. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who has been searching for meaningful companionship. They decide to practice discipline, to let go of shallow connections, to elevate their standards. In that period, they keep encountering stories of people who chose patience and found depth. They overhear a podcast, a sermon, or even a casual remark from a friend that reinforces this same theme. These repeated signs are not accidents, they are alignments. They are reminders that the waiting itself is shaping them into the kind of person capable of sustaining the very thing they hope for. This is a crucial insight. Confirmations are never just about the external promise, a partner, a career, a breakthrough. They are about your inner growth. The Stoics emphasized virtue above all else: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Any confirmation that comes your way should lead you back to these qualities. If a sign encourages impatience, recklessness, or selfishness, it is not a true confirmation, but a distraction. Real confirmations sharpen your discipline, deepen your character, and anchor you to purpose rather than mere pleasure. And here's where the Stoic lens offers clarity. We often think the purpose of life is happiness, but the Stoics insisted that the real purpose is to live in harmony with virtue. Happiness may flow from that, but it is not the aim, it is the byproduct. So when confirmations appear, they are not simply pointing you toward external happiness, but toward alignment with your higher purpose. They remind you that the promise ahead is not only about joy, but about fruitfulness. The ability to live in a way that benefits others as well as yourself. Think about it. A marriage rooted only in happiness can crumble when challenges arise. But a union rooted in purpose, two people committed not only to each other but to growth and service, becomes unshakable. Confirmations guide you toward that kind of foundation. They remind you that preparation is not only about meeting the right person, but about becoming the right person. Now, some may ask, isn't this just coincidence? Couldn't it all be explained away? The Stoics would reply, whether by chance or by design, what matters is how you use what happens. If the repetition of certain messages awakens discipline, inspires patience, or strengthens courage, then it has served its purpose. It is wisdom to accept what comes as useful, whether you call it divine alignment or simply the order of nature. The beauty of confirmations is that they rarely arrive when you expect them. They surprise you, interrupt your doubt, and often come in the most ordinary moments. That is why they feel sacred, because what could have been mundane becomes meaningful. What could have been ignored becomes instruction. So, if you find yourself in this season, pay attention. Look closely at the patterns that repeat in your days. Do they call you to greater patience? Do they challenge you to let go of what no longer serves you? Do they remind you that preparation is just as valuable as fulfillment? These are confirmations worth holding on to. Remember, the promise is never just about comfort or fleeting happiness. It is about shaping you into someone capable of living with wisdom, with love, with fruitfulness. That is the deeper confirmation, that your waiting is not wasted. And perhaps the greatest confirmation of all is the peace you feel when you align with this truth. Not the thrill of chance, but the steady assurance that everything is unfolding as it should. There comes a moment in every journey when the focus shifts. At first you may be waiting, hoping for the right partner, the right timing, the right confirmation. But eventually, life invites you into a deeper truth. The purpose of your existence cannot be postponed. You are not waiting for someone else to begin living. Your mission, your calling, your gifts, these must be cultivated now. The Stoics would remind us, do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others. Be yourself. This is the final stage in the process. It is the moment when the waiting no longer feels like punishment, but preparation. Think about it. A season of singleness is not a prison. It is positioning. It is the time when you are being sharpened, when your strengths are tested, when your character is forged. To see it otherwise is to miss the treasure of this moment. Consider history, or even the lives of figures told in old stories. Ruth was not searching for a husband. She was faithfully working in the fields when she was noticed. Rebecca was serving at a well when she encountered the opportunity that changed her future. David was tending sheep long before he became king. In every case, purpose came first. The connection followed naturally. This principle remains true today. When you walk in your calling, whether it is your career, your craft, your service to others, you create the conditions for genuine connection. Purpose is like a compass. It keeps you from wandering into false relationships, from clinging to distractions, from chasing what does not align with your path. How many people have lost themselves in partnerships that pulled them away from who they were meant to be? This is the danger of seeking a person before seeking purpose. And so we must ask ourselves, what am I building now? Am I waiting idly, or am I refining the gifts I've been entrusted with? The Stoics were relentless about this. They taught that virtue and excellence should be practiced daily, not someday, not after certain conditions are met, but here and now. Waiting for the perfect external circumstance is simply an excuse for inaction. Life is not lived tomorrow. It is lived today. This season of being single, of walking alone, is in fact a gift. It is the time when you can dedicate yourself fully to growth, to building a foundation strong enough to support the life ahead. Too often we view singleness as emptiness, but it is really fullness, a chance to deepen your discipline, your wisdom, your resilience. It is a rare opportunity to develop the relationship that matters most, the one with your own soul, with your own reason, with the divine order of life itself. And when the time comes, the right partner does not replace your purpose. They join you in it. This distinction is crucial. A spouse is not the purpose. They are a partner in the purpose. If you enter a relationship looking for them to give you meaning, you will place a burden on them they cannot carry. But if you enter already living with meaning, already walking in mission, the connection becomes powerful. Together you amplify what you are each called to do. Notice how this changes the way we think about attraction. Instead of asking, how do I find the right person? The real question becomes, how do I live so fully in my purpose that the right person is naturally drawn into alignment with it? This is not about chasing, but about attracting. Not about forcing, but about living so authentically that what belongs to you cannot help but find you. And here is the beauty of it. True connection fuels the mission. It does not distract from it. When you are aligned with someone whose path complements your own, the relationship carries a sense of confirmation. There is peace, not confusion. There is clarity, not chaos. You do not lose yourself, you become more of yourself. That is the hallmark of a union rooted in purpose. So I challenge you to rethink the way you see this season. Do not despise it. Do not waste it. Use it, build, learn, refine your gifts. Invest in your health, your craft, your relationships with family and friends. Expand your mind. Strengthen your discipline. Grow into the person who not only desires purpose but lives it daily. The Stoics said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The same is true here. Waste no more time waiting for life to start after marriage. Live it now. And as you do, you will discover something remarkable. You no longer feel desperate for the promise. You are no longer restless for confirmation. You have peace, because you are already walking in alignment with who you were meant to be. And from that place, connection will come, not as a rescue, but as reinforcement. This is the hidden wisdom of waiting. It was never about the other person. It was always about you becoming whole, steady, purposeful. When you live in that wholeness, the right partnership will not just appear, it will feel inevitable. When we reach the end of this journey, it becomes clear that what often feels like uncertainty, delay, or even rejection is not a punishment. It is preparation. In Stoic philosophy, we are reminded that life rarely unfolds according to our personal timelines, but rather according to nature's order, the greater flow of events beyond our control. In the same way, when we think about marriage or companionship, the waiting season is not wasted time. It is a refining season, shaping us into people who can not only receive love, but sustain it with depth, discipline, and resilience. Think of restlessness, the feeling that you're ready, but life seems to say, not yet. That restlessness is a signal, not a curse. For the Stoics, restlessness is an invitation to examine the self, to sharpen our inner character, to strengthen virtue. Just as a sword must be hammered, heated, and cooled before it becomes strong, so too must we pass through seasons of restlessness that prepare us for what lies ahead. Then comes pruning. We often lose things or even people that we thought were essential to our happiness. But the Stoics, much like the great gardeners of wisdom, understood that pruning is necessary. To grow into who we are meant to be, certain attachments must fall away. Seneca once said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." In other words, when we cling to what is no longer aligned with our purpose, we prolong our own suffering. Pruning clears the path so that only what is true and enduring remains. Peace, too, is a sign. In Stoic practice, tranquility is not found in avoiding life's storms, but in standing firm within them. When you begin to feel peace about a path, even if the timing is unclear, that peace is not accidental. It is the fruit of alignment between your purpose and the greater order of life. It is your inner compass confirming that you are walking steadily, even if the destination remains unseen. And what about confirmations? They arrive in subtle ways, a conversation that affirms your direction, an opportunity that appears at the exact right moment, a door that opens after so many others closed. Stoics would not call this mere coincidence. They would call it living in harmony with the Logos, the rational order of the universe. These confirmations remind us that every closed door was not a denial, but a redirection towards something more fitting, more aligned with who we are becoming. Every disappointment, every delay, every closed chapter, it is all preparation for a greater union. This is not only about marriage, but about every partnership in life that carries meaning. If you've been waiting and wondering why the promise feels delayed, remember, the promise is not delayed. It is developing. Just as a tree takes years to root deeply before it rises tall, so too do we take time to grow into the people capable of carrying the weight of real connection. Marriage, or any sacred partnership, is not about two incomplete souls trying to fill each other's voids. It is about two whole individuals, each walking firmly in their purpose, aligning under the right timing. When that alignment comes, it feels less like striving and more like recognition. It feels less like tension and more like peace. The Stoics remind us that the highest form of love is not dependency but partnership in virtue, a shared mission, a joint pursuit of what is good, just, and meaningful. So if you find yourself in the waiting season, let it shape you. Let it mature your patience, refine your trust, and align your heart with something greater than your own timeline. Ask yourself, who am I becoming in this season? Am I strengthening my character, my discipline, my resilience? Am I preparing not just for the person I hope to meet, but for the person I am meant to be when they arrive? Because in the end, marriage is not the ultimate prize. Character is, purpose is, virtue is. And when two people, both whole, both steady, both walking in their calling, finally meet, what emerges is not simply romance, but a divine union. A partnership that feels like confirmation. A love that carries peace instead of chaos. And a mission that is bigger than either person alone. The Stoics would tell us not to chase what is beyond our control, but to master what lies within. The timing, the meeting, the unfolding of love, that is not fully in our hands. But how we prepare, how we grow, how we live our purpose, that is always within our grasp. And when we choose to live fully, even in the waiting, we will find that what we once thought was delayed was in fact right on time. So walk with patience. Walk with strength. Walk in purpose. And trust that every closed door, every restless night, every moment of waiting is shaping you for something far greater than you can yet see.